Hi everyone, it's Nick. Welcome back to my channel. Okay, and today we're doing budget versus luxury, where to spend and where to save in your kitchen. Some of you might be thinking of doing a kitchen renovation. Some of you just might want to redecorate your kitchen and give it a little zhuzh, in which case I'm here to tell you which areas of your renovation or your zhuzh you should be thinking of spending, and this is like where you should be splurging a little bit more, and which areas are worth saving on, okay? Because we've got those areas in the kitchen. Some are really worth your time and money, and some are not. So with that in mind, let's get going. Okay, but before I get to the splurge versus same items for the kitchen, I also want to thank today's sponsor, which helps you save money, which is going to be Upside, because it is now firmly fall, as much as I hate to admit it, and there's always just so much going on in the fall, and I just find that, you know, I'm always running out and doing something, and Upside really helps me do it all while also saving money. So Upside gives me cash back on the things that I'm already buying, like my groceries, or even when you're dining out. There are over 100,000 places on Upside, so no matter where I am in Vancouver, there's always an offer nearby. And this isn't just like some super crazy confusing point system. It's actually real money that I can transfer straight to my bank account. Users are generating 3 times more cash with Upside than any other loyalty program or credit card reward. For me, it's a no-brainer because honestly, these are things that I'm already buying, so it's just a really easy way to save money. So top Upside earners are earning up to $300 in cash per month. So if you want to see how much you can earn on Upside, go click on the link in the description, download the free Upside app and use code nicklewis and get an extra $10 cash back on your first restaurant or grocery purchase. Or of course, you could click on the QR code that is on screen right now to get started with Upside. Thanks again, Upside, for sponsoring this video. So let's get back to those save versus splurge items. Okay, first splurge I want to talk about, this one's important, is going to be countertops, okay? Now, let's get this out of the way when I say like luxury versus budget, whatever that means to you, okay? So, it could mean $20,000 slabs of some sort of fancy quartzite or something, or some sort of marble that you're putting in your brand new book-matched countertops on your 12-foot island. I don't know, but I would say that whatever it means for you, that could mean quartz countertops, that could mean, butcher block countertops or laminate countertops or some sort of granite or some sort of natural stone or whatever it is, right? Whatever a splurge means to you. But I think this is an area, regardless of what you end up choosing, where durability matters. This is a high traffic area of your kitchen. This is where you're going to be doing all your baking, your stirring, your chopping, your mixing, right? This is where you're going to be doing it all, okay? You're all going to be doing it all on the countertops. And not only that, but your family as well. So you might actually be really, really careful with stuff, but maybe your kids aren't, right? Maybe your husband isn't, maybe your guests aren't, maybe you have house guests over and you have beautiful marble and they just like splash some red wine because they had a Julia Child moment and they have Boeuf Bourguignon all over your beautiful Carrara marble countertops, right? Like, you're gonna have a heart attack when that happens, right? So you need to think, how much durability is important to me and how much maintenance is gonna be required? And this is overall an area where, yes, the countertop material itself does matter and your use case of, who you are and what your needs are, but also maintenance. How much time and money are you going to be investing over the long term to actually maintain some of these really amazing sort of investment countertops that you might be doing? And again, some of them are higher maintenance than others, right? Natural stone is going to require more maintenance. Maintenance equals oftentimes dollars, because you could sometimes get a person to come in and professionally seal them, or you could be looking at a material like tough skin or a high quality sealing product out there. And so that matters to you, right? You might be sealing them regularly and there's going to be time and money brought into that. And so yes, it's not just splurging on the countertop material, and the fabrication, but also splurging on the maintenance that you're going to be doing over the long term. This is a high traffic area, it's important in the kitchen, and this is an area that is worth splurging on. Okay, but the save to go along with that one that I think is just as important is going to be your backsplash. So backsplashes are, yes, important. I don't like those little dinky, little like half-inch, or you know what I mean, like the little 2-inch backssplashes, or some people just do no backsplash, the landlord special, and you just got the drywall back there. I do think a backsplash is important because again, when you're mixing and you're doing your bacon and all that stuff, like I mentioned, you may have some splashback, okay? You might have some tomato sauce or whatever that's gonna end up on that backsplash, and that's what they call it, a backsplash. That's why it's there. It's providing a functional benefit, but you don't really need to go crazy. Yes, if you want to and you have the budget, you can feel free to take the countertop material. Let's say you invested in a beautiful quartz countertop there and you're like, do I take the quartz back to the backsplash? Yes, of course you can, okay? It's a beautiful look, of course you can. It's really nice because it gives it that beautiful verticality, so your eye sees the backsplash oftentimes before it even sees the countertop, but you don't need it, okay? If you are on a budget and you're looking of ways to save, I think the backsplash is the best place to save. It is a great option. It's something that you need to have, but can absolutely be something like a simple basic subway tile. It can be some penny rounds back there, and all of those really gorgeous, amazing, timeless tile patterns that are out there will provide the functional benefit of what a backsplash is going to be and need to do, but it's also going to be gorgeous and beautiful in its own way. And it's going to be much, much cheaper than using the countertop material or some sort of fancy marble or whatever, some rare quartzite from Brazil that you could use to make your gorgeous backsplash. Of course you can do that, but that's not the point of this video. If you're looking for an area to save, I would say using tile or something similar on the backsplash is the way to go. Okay, next up is going to be splurge on cabinet fronts. So cabinet fronts, I think, are really important to invest in because your cabinet fronts are going to provide a whole lot of real estate in your space, and it's really gorgeous to be able to use something in like a wood finish. You could use an oak, you could use it painted, like you could put it in navy or green or any of the colors, really. You just have fun with that, right? You can do something in a slim shaker profile. You could do a traditional shaker. You could do a flat front. You got lots of different options that you could use, but I would really invest in something that you're going to be happy with over the long term. Also, something like the full overlay is going to be a lot more, I think, of a timeless look than something like a half overlay or something that looks a little bit more builder grade, which you might not be super happy with over the long haul. I think you're going to get a lot more bang for your buck investing in those door fronts. Now, if you are thinking, well, hold on a second, where do I get these from? If I'm going to a custom cabinet maker, that wasn't an option for me. Totally, but there are lots of really great companies out there, especially that are building off of IKEA boxes, to be able to swap out. So, Superfront, I think, is one. Kitsch here in Canada is a really great option. Semi-handmade is a really wonderful one. I'll link to a bunch down below. And they're really, actually a whole video on this. You should just go check that out. What am I doing? And yeah, they are really, really great at providing sort of just the drawer fronts, and then you can do whatever you want with the boxes, which I'll get to in a second. You're getting sort of that designer look, but you're getting it at a cheaper price point. I think this is going to be so much better than choosing something like a standard drawer front, which you're going to get at maybe your regular cabinet supplier or from IKEA or something like that. Just gives a little bit of a special moment, and you can get that kind of custom tailored designer look at a much cheaper price point. But I will say save. My budget tip is going to be to save on the boxes. So yes, of course, if you're going to go to a cabinet maker and someone's going to build you an entire custom kitchen, they're going to provide gorgeous drawer fronts, which I think you should splurge a little bit on. But I think you can save so much money by just going with cheaper boxes. So often what people do is they'll put IKEA boxes in the section kitchen, which is a really well-designed kitchen system. A lot of people use them. Designers use them. Architects use them in their projects I've seen. Like, people use these boxes, but then they swap out the drawer fronts and do something a little bit more interesting. I think this is a great way to sort of save money on your kitchen reno by just using the standard box system. IKEA's laid, you can go in, you can talk to your little IKEA coworker person, you can sit there with your little whatever and your computer, and you can work with them and design your beautiful kitchen just using just the boxes. Also, all the different component systems in IKEA, this turned into an IKEA video, but hold on a second. All those different component systems are built right in, so you get all the different organization tools and stuff that IKEA offers you right there in store. You can use those and they're all compatible with the boxes. Again, I wouldn't always recommend the drawer fronts because I think that's an area you can splurge on, but going with a Home Depot box or something like that is going to be a lot cheaper than just going to a custom millworker and building all new cabinets. Okay, next up for my spend is going to be appliances that you use daily. Okay, you know what those are. Those are probably going to be your refrigerator. It could potentially be your cooktop, might even be your oven, might even be your dishwasher, right? These are the ones that you use all the time. A refrigerator being a really important one. I think this is an area that people should spend on, right? What are those appliances that you just don't want to cause you issues later on down the road? You don't want to be sitting there and having to throw out because you went on holidays and then you came back and your fridge is leaking and oh my gosh, I didn't realize it, but the fridge broke down halfway through our vacation and now all of our food is spoiled and whatever. Like, you just don't want to have to deal with that, right? It's just so much better. The quality of things like the hinges that you're using, the drawer, like it's so much nicer to use the tools that you really, really want to use on a daily basis. So again, personally for me, I think a cooktop or a range, if you're choosing a range, perhaps an oven, definitely something like a refrigerator. These are the areas of the home, of the kitchen that you're going to use regularly and they're going to get high traffic. These are the ones that people are going to be using all the time, and I think because they're well used, they are worth spending a little bit more money on. Okay, but what are the save items? I would say those secondary appliances, right? Especially things like countertop appliances that you don't use every single day. You guys know that I have an addiction to countertop appliances. I just love it. Do I think you need a luxury egg bite maker? No, I don't even think you need an egg bite maker at all, which is what of course I have. Why, I don't know, because it was an impulse purchase on Amazon, to be honest. But you don't need super high quality, right? You don't need to get some of these, I think, like these little drawer inserts that people have. Could be the dishwasher for you, depending on who you are, but things like the microwave microwave, those types of things I think that you might not necessarily use every day. They just come out when you need them once in a while and then you put them away. I think those, you know, the toaster perhaps, whatever, those are I think the appliances that you don't use all the time and you don't need to go crazy for. Now, if you want a Vitamix, I'm not going to stop you. Okay, fine. You want a Vitamix, go for it. Yes, it's a $600 or $500 blender. That's on you. But I do think that some of those pieces that, and only you know the answer to this question, is those appliances that you just don't use very often. They just don't get the use. So why are you spending so much money on them? You don't need to go crazy on them. So for those items, those appliances, I don't think they're worth investing heavily in. Okay, next up, I would say my spend is going to be lighting. So I do think it's worth it to spend a little bit more on your lighting. So what are some pieces there that could be worth it? Well, we're talking the overhead lighting might be worth it for you. I also think it's really great to have sort of undermount lighting, whether that's under your cabinets or perhaps in the toe kick, like under the toe kick. I think having that on a dimmer is just really nice. It provides a nice, beautiful, soft glow to your space. Kind of like that. Look at that back there. Look at that little cutie, right? Like I just think it provides a nice, beautiful little glow, which is just really lovely to have in your home. It also has, you know, a functional benefit, right? So it's a task in a way, right? It's task lighting also, which is, you know, you're walking to your kitchen late at night because you want to sneak in because you have some leftover cheesecake in the fridge. It's 2 in the morning. You don't want to wake anybody. You come in, boom, you just turn that little toe kick lighting on with a dimmer. And now all of a sudden you can navigate the kitchen effectively and eat your cheesecake in peace. Do you know what I mean? And that's really a wonderful thing. Again, the under the cabinets, you're chopping, you know, it's late at night. You don't want big giant lights in your face and boom, you put that little under cabinet lighting on and now you can sit there and chop and you've got no issues there. So it provides a functional benefit, a task lighting in a way, but also beautiful sort of ambient lighting that you can use in your space. Also, you know, if your space is really big, if you've got a huge kitchen, you might want to put like lamp, a countertop lamp or something in there. Sometimes if you have a smaller kitchen, don't do that. It's just a waste of space, but still sconces perhaps. If you're doing a whole new renovation, you're considering doing sconces, those could be lovely. I do think it's worth it to invest in the tasks lighting that you're going to be doing that you need to use for your space. Could be pendant lighting, for example, again. Those I think it's really, really worth it. It improves the sort of value of the space and just maybe makes it feel a lot more interesting, as well as improving the tasks, like I said, and also the aesthetics of the space. You know, like if you're gonna put in some gorgeous lighting over top of your kitchen island, then invest in something that you really love and that's really beautiful and you're gonna enjoy looking at and using. The kitchen truly is the heart of the home. It's cliche for a reason. And so people, you know, parties, whenever there's a party, the party happens around the food. And the food is oftentimes in the kitchen. So, you know, that's where the party happens. This is the area of the home that I think it's really important to focus on lighting, just because there's a functional benefit to it, but it's also aesthetically beautiful to have some gorgeous lights in your kitchen. So this is an area worth spending on. Okay, and then my save. I'm gonna have to say like bar stools and accessories, right? So these are oftentimes just like occasional items that you might not necessarily use every day. I've said in a video that depending on your use case, depending on who you are, you may find that bar stools don't get used as much in your space as much as you think they might be. I think we all put them in thinking they're gonna have a lot of use, and then sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. It depends on you and your lifestyle and your family, but generally speaking, I think that the really awesome, amazing, beautiful designer ones, they're just great, but oftentimes you can find some on Article or Wayfair or any of these sort of companies, a little bit more of the mainstream companies, and get beautiful stools as well. I don't think this is an area that is necessary to blow the budget on. I think there are other items in the kitchen, like we've talked about, that are worth spending. So bar stools would be an example where I think it's best to go a little bit cheap on. Some of the other accessories that you might want to think about for your home could be things like light switches or door panels or even accessories that you have in your kitchen, different, you know, as I said earlier, like IKEA makes a ton of this stuff. This is actually where I think IKEA is at its strongest, to some of those organizational components in spaces like the kitchen. And those are areas I think that are probably worth saving on. Those little accessories that, you know, you might use once in a while, but you don't necessarily need to spend so much money on them. And oftentimes they're just sitting inside drawers anyway, no one's ever gonna see it. So I would say those are areas worth saving. Okay, and then next up, let's talk metals on this one, okay? So I think that the spend item here is gonna be your faucet and your sink. So faucets and sinks, I think, are really, really important. So faucets are something that you're gonna use every day. That kitchen faucet, you're gonna be using it for meal prep. People are gonna be using it to wash their hands, I hope. They're gonna be using it for all sorts of reasons. And I think your faucet is really important to spend money on. It's just nice, it's just something you use every day. It's something that is very tactile and something that has a gorgeous feel to it. Because again, you know, a faucet that is falling apart, that doesn't, you know, we've all used those. We've all walked in and we're just like, this one is like coming off of the freaking countertop at this point, you know what I mean? Or it's got a little wiggly thing on the top that's really annoying to use, or the little button to make the sprayer work doesn't work, like that's annoying. Invest in a beautiful faucet that is you're really going to enjoy. And this is not necessarily true if you have a whole new renovation, of course it makes sense, but even if you're just thinking of ways to upgrade your kitchen and you're not doing a full renovation, swapping out your faucet for a new one is a nice quality of life upgrade. I think it really makes a huge difference. And the sink is also the same. I think like a sill granite sink is amazing if you really want a high-end kitchen. It's not as durable, I will say, but those beautiful, amazing, like integrated sinks, again, it's not the most durable. It's I can't guarantee that it's the best solution long-term from a usability point of view, but they are gorgeous. Those really make a huge statement, right? The sink is a really central area of your kitchen, and I do think it's worth investing in. So sill granite is really awesome, comes in a bunch of different colors. It's very, very durable. Those are really popular right now. Of course, just a high quality undermount stainless, I think looks really, really good. A porcelain sink looks really good. That is a classic timeless option. Really investing in a quality sink and faucet matters. But of course, what is going to be your save item? And for that, I'm gonna have to say is cabinet pulls. Cabinet pulls, there are just so many different ones that are out there. Do you need the ones that are like solid brass, that are amazing with a knurled finish and blah, 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 blah? Some of these can go for literally hundreds of dollars per cabinet pull. And when you really break out, if you want to put hardware in all of your different kitchen cabinets, that's a lot of money. Like that's a lot of cabinet pulls that you're gonna need. And there are cheaper ones that are available. You can find cute vintage ones that are out there that are amazing. I've seen people reuse, like if they do a renovation, they keep the like sort of vintagey button drawer pulls from their previous kitchen and then bring those into the new kitchen because it just adds a little bit of character into the home, right? There's really beautiful drawer pulls that are out there. A lot of them are quite inexpensive to do. You can also spray paint the old ones. I'm not saying, again, longevity. I'm not saying it's gonna last you another 10 years, but you can always spray paint an old drawer pull and it'll also look really great. A quick refresh in matte black and you're good to go. So I think there's a lot of use for saving on those drawer pulls. They're just not worth the super amazing, beautiful designer kind. Now, if you want them because they're gorgeous, then go for it, but that's not the point of this video. I think this is an area that you can absolutely save on. Okay, so that's it for me today, guys. I hope you really enjoyed this video. I'm gonna link here to my kitchen design mistakes video. It's honestly one of my most popular videos I've ever done on YouTube in all the 5 years. So feel free to go check out that video and I will see you all in that one. Thanks a lot. Talk to you soon. Okay, bye.